It is that time of the year again, boys, where the new COD is getting hyped up and everyone is itching for that release date. And just recently, the Cold War Alpha came out, and today I want to give my initial review on the game, which of course is subject to change over time. Before we get into this though, if you haven't subscribed yet, make sure you subscribe down below. It's free, and you can always unsubscribe later. Alright, now that we're getting to this though, I also want to thank AntFalco for allowing me to use this gameplay from his stream over at twitch.tv/AntFalco, link is in the description. But, speaking of this also brings me to my first point, which is PlayStation exclusivity. Now, COD and their PS4 exclusive stuff has been around for years, and every time I still complain about it because I just don't see how it's fair with some of the stuff. For example, my main gripe with this is the amount of time PS4 players get to play before the release, which, if we take into account the alpha and the beta and put it together, PlayStation players get a total of 12 days to play the game, while everyone else on Xbox and PC only gets 5. So, while PlayStation over here is getting almost 2 weeks, Xbox and PC barely gets a week to play the game before release, which, of course, once the game comes out, I could honestly care less, but I still don't think it's fair that PlayStation players get so much more time than everyone else, and I feel like almost everyone on Xbox and PC can agree with me on this. Now, I could understand if it was some cosmetic stuff that I know PlayStation already does, but if like that was the main thing and not you get 2 weeks of the beta and the alpha while everyone else gets 5. So that's really my main gripe here, and I honestly just cannot wait for the day that everyone gets the betas and the alpha together to make it fair and equal versus PlayStation getting it, which it also doesn't make sense to me anymore because now it's like mainly on PC, that's where all the competitive is. But of course I also know that they signed the contract years ago and that contract is still in play right now, so that's why they get it. But once that contract is over, if they re-sign the PlayStation, I am going to be mad. Anyway, after my small rant right there, let's actually get into the meat and potatoes of this game and start with what was trending on Twitter a while ago, which is SBMM, also known as skill-based matchmaking. So if you're not aware, the super cranked SBMM from Modern Warfare that most people don't like is also in this game, and thankfully everyone finally snapped and made it very apparent that we do not want SBMM like this, since it's really not fun to play against. Now, if you've also been a long time viewer of me, you should know my opinions on this because I said the almost exact same thing during Modern Warfare, but to sum this up, SBMM should not be as strong as it is in this game. And I have said before that SBMM is always in every game. It's like a hidden thing that you might not be like, oh, there's no SBMM in here, but there's almost always a hidden SBMM. Skill-based matchmaking, which if you don't know, it's basically, here's your skill, we're gonna matchmake you with other people based on your same skill, and you know, it's pretty self-explanatory, skill-based matchmaking. And I know almost every game has a hidden SBMM, just the thing with this one is that it's really cranked up, and basically it's either a camper lobby or a sweat lobby. And the best part is that over on Twitter, one of the devs was like, oh, we had SBMM in Black Ops 2, and everyone loves Black Ops 2, and instead of making excuses, which I made a tweet about this too, but no one saw it, but instead of making excuses, how about, wild idea, we just make it like Black Ops 2 since that worked. It's a crazy idea, I know, you don't gotta tell me my genius, but other from that, I know SBMM is almost in every game, which I said for Modern Warfare, but the problem here is that it plays like a ranked playlist in pubs, which is the most unfun thing you could probably go through. So imagine you're playing basically League play in pubs, but you get nothing for it. And I still feel like this tweet by good old 100 Thieves Nadeshot sums up my opinions on this very well. But if you look up any SBMM video recently, that's pretty much how I feel, and chances are, if you're complaining about SBMM and why it should stay, then you're probably just bad at the game. So, to keep this short and nice, I will probably do a whole video on this later, but SBMM is way too cranked up right now and it should be taken down a lot. Other from this though, the game looks extremely promising, but I'm also not making any bold statements yet, since what I've learned from the Modern Warfare beta is to never trust any beta or alpha, since the Modern Warfare beta was amazing and I loved it. But then the whole game releases and guess what? It's awful for the first like 5 months. Oh, I just getting flashbacks of that. But other from this, the movement mechanics in the game remind me of Black Ops 4, which I love, since the movement in Black Ops 4 is one of my favorites and how it's more of an arcadey style versus Modern Warfare and every other one where it's like just slow pace and just boring. and the guns also remind me of Black Ops 1 and Black Ops 2, and I just think it's overall a great combination of all those games together into one. However, one mechanic I hope they do work on, which they said they would, is slide cancel. While slide cancel is fun and everything, I still don't think it should be in the game since it's practically unfair for other players who don't know what they're doing. On the other hand though, one thing I don't like is the sound of guns, since I do wish they sounded as good as Modern Warfare, because as much as I don't like that game, the sound design in it was superb. And speaking of Modern Warfare, remember how dead silence wasn't a perk? Well, in this game it is, it's just heavily modified, and I can't exactly remember the name of it on top of my head, but if I am correct, it's something along the lines of when you're running, your footsteps are quieter, but when you're walking, it's still the normal loudness, which I honestly feel like they should just change it and just make it dead silence like it used to be, so no one is camping as heavily as Modern Warfare. And speaking of camping, in this game, there are no more doors or mounting, thank God, and we're finally blessed again with score streaks, since we all know kill streaks promotes camping and we all hated it. And how the score streaks work in this game is something some people don't like, but honestly, I really like how it works. So, there's a cooldown on each score streak that you could get, and you can't just keep using them over and over, which I like a lot. And each time you get a kill, you get a score multiplier, meaning the more you run around and get kills, you could get score streaks faster since you're getting more score per kill. And I saw somewhere that if you were to camp and get 1 kill per life, it would take you somewhere around 150 kills to get an attack chopper, since when you die, your score streak doesn't reset, which I'm not sure how I feel on that one, but that is what it is. But if you were to camp, if you got 1 kill per life, so you get a kill and you die, it would take you a stupid amount of kills to get an attack chopper. So thank God Treyarch doesn't seem to be catering the entire game to really bad players, but they're still catering to them a little too much for me with the SBMM and pubs, so only time will have to tell on that one. Map wise, however, we only got a couple of maps, and the normal 6v6 ones looked pretty good, but the 12v12 maps looked awful, and you saw campers everywhere. So if you're a bad player and don't want to admit it and just camp, 12v12 is your mode. Other than that, 6v6 maps, they were pretty good. Satellite was one that I was iffy about since I didn't really like how open it was. Not even how open, but like how people would just camp everywhere on it, which surprisingly no one did. Then other from that, Moscow was by far the best one. And I can't exactly remember the other one on top of my head, but there's another one that was mediocre. But last thing I want to talk about is the guns. Surprisingly, the gun balancing in this game is some of the best I've seen in years. I'm actually surprised so much that almost every gun is viable, and no one gun is overwhelmingly better than others. The only gun I saw that looked a little OP was the AK-74U, but other from that, they all looked great. And speaking of guns, the time to kill, or the TTK in this game, is actually viable, giving you time to react and not being able to be one-shot from across the map with a shotgun or a nade like in Modern Warfare, which that's still annoying that a shotgun can one-shot you from across the map, but a sniper doesn't sometimes. So, just ignoring that, that was one of the best things I saw from this game, since the TTK in Modern Warfare is so low that it's almost annoying to play against, since campers will always have the advantage. Other from this though, this game is looking promising, but once again, I do not trust alphas or betas anymore, so I'm still going into this expecting the game to be changed heavily and could be an awful game like the past few CODs. Of course though, only time will have to tell on this one. Anyway, before I go, make sure you follow me on Twitch for my occasional streams and Twitter for daily bangers. And again, if you have not subscribed, make sure you subscribe because it's free, it helps me, it makes you happy, and you can always unsubscribe later. But until then, see ya.